58. What does that mean to us? Or is this our 58th episode? Welcome. I'm going to introduce my guest in a second. If you are looking or are selling your home or looking to sell your home, or you know someone who is going to, please share this episode because my guest today is an occupied consultant specialist. That is all she does, award-winning, and she is going to share some tips and tricks on how to make it easier to market and sell your home while you're living in what I call a fishbowl, which you won't have to very long if you apply some of these tips and tricks. And she's also going to share some behind the scenes. This lady has done over 8,000 consultations. That's a lot. And so she's got some stories that if we have time, we're going to share. So stay tuned and please comment, ask questions, give us a like. It'll help our algorithms. And if we haven't met yet, I am Kat Trelinos with Tada by Kat, Next Level Staging and Design, where we create magical transformations in your space, whether occupied or vacant. So without further ado, Bobbie McGrath, welcome. And thank you so much for joining me today.
My pleasure. My pleasure. I've been looking forward to it. I always enjoy doing podcasts, and I've been watching over your podcast, especially your one from last week with Barb Schwartz. That was great.
Schwartz. Oh my gosh.
And I watched your and then Realtor of the Year. Let's see.
Shelley Cooley.
Shelley Cooley. And then I'm looking forward to, I was just starting to watch, I think it was it Katie Torres, the photographer? Because I'm all about the synergy between stager, photographer, and agent. So anyway,
absolutely.
Looking forward
In fact,
to it.
They're doing a shout out to Katie. They're doing a customer appreciation, and my husband and I are having our photos taken on Saturday because
Oh, nice.
all we ever do is take selfies.
Right.
So, So hi, Katie, and we're going to have you out and do some photos in our house for our design section to showcase our renovation soon. But thank you so much, Bobbie. And tell us a little bit. I know you're from North Carolina. Tell us a little bit about how, briefly, how you got into this specialty. So for folks who don't know, occupied, you're living in the home, you're trying to sell it. That can be daunting, especially if you have pets. I have 4 dogs. I ain't selling anytime soon. Little munchkins. It's just, it can be just overwhelming. So how did you get into just the what we call occupied staging, where, a lot of us, including myself, do vacant staging as well as occupied. And I think where you bring in some power pieces. So that's the level. I'm not going to let you share that, but tell our viewers how you decided to specialize in this entity of staging.
You got it. Well, I started my company, Successful Staging, here in Raleigh, North Carolina, back in 2004. And when I started the company, I really started providing consultations because, I woke up one day, poof, I was a stager. Okay. So I went out and I was making it up as I went, but I was bringing a background of marketing and photography and fashion, a bunch of different things to the table. Yes. And about after a year, I decided I want to up level it. So I did receive specialized training for home staging at that time. So over the first 10 years, I built it where I had 2 warehouses, had my delivery truck, I had my teams to do the vacant side of the business, and in was coming money. But the whole time, my occupied work was still very, very consistent. I was easily doing 6 figures, just me, myself, and I on the consultation side. So that was like a really good flow. And then during 2008, 2009, when things kind of in the real estate world, It was my consultation. That's when I really started looking at my numbers.
Yes.
It was my consultation business that kept my vacant flush. So I was like thinking, and when I started looking at the numbers, I got to thinking about it. And I bought 5 acres of property to build a larger warehouse in order to rent furniture to my fellow stagers here in the area.
Which is a whole other entity of management.
Yes. Oh, yeah. And the whole time so I got bit by a bug, got sick. All I could think about was the warehouse. And then I just had I was saying my come to Jesus moment. I was like, you know what, why am I doing this? And I got to thinking about it. I had some great vacant stagers that I could refer the vacant side to, but I just felt like the occupied side wasn't being served well. So with a big, deep gulp, I closed down my vacant division and stepped out on faith into the occupied only side. And I have to tell
Perfect.
you, that first year I felt like a failure. I felt like a fake, but my gosh, I was being so well received, and I spent more and more time focusing in on being more and more effective. So by the end of that first year, I even created a training course on to do an occupied consultation.
Right.
So that's what brought me back to focus on the occupied side. And then part of the occupied side too is sometimes when you go and you start, at least my business model, I start utilizing what people already have within
Right.
their homes. Now, if
Right.
they have the budget, then what I can do is what I call a staging enhancement. And that's where I may bring in some small pieces of furniture or accessories, whether it's artwork, vases, lamps, pillows, that type of thing. So
So
that's a
let me ask
staging
you, Bobbie,
enhancement.
do you have a small warehouse for that, or you have to keep something for your enhancement part, right?
That's right. So at this point, I'm very blessed in my home. My home has a large garage, and above the garage is a huge open space. So that is where I keep those
Nice.
accessories. And I just recently did have a larger like storage unit, and then I decided I'm really going to cull down and be more selective, because when you're working the occupied side, it's not so much about having the latest, greatest, most current. It's about understanding how to get those bridge pieces that take that 30-year-old sofa with the pink lazy boy chair
Yep.
and the mismatched coffee table and end tables. What are the pieces that I can help drag that to be a little bit more current? Because if I put in something that's current today, everything else is going to look old and shabby. So
Absolutely.
there.
And that's the key. I think that's the key, uh, for folks out there who are, again, looking to sell and you're living there. You
Mhm.
can be overwhelmed, to think, like from Texas, I think you and I shared before the pre-call, that we have a lot of brown leather, a lot of, heavier things like that. And they can be up leveled and enhanced, or
Mhm.
have power pieces brought in, as I call them, to just take it, take it to more on trend without having
Yes,
to strip and, uh,
absolutely.
rent furniture, etc. You shared a tip on our pre-show chat. I would love for you to share with our potential sellers, and that I never thought of, but it is a challenge getting
Mhm.
pillows to stay up and not slide down on those leather couches and chairs. So
Okay,
share with us.
leather sofas. It's a wonder if
Yes.
cowboys. It's a wonder if cowboys can stay in the saddle, because that leather is slippery, right? So,
Well, they've got
um,
engraving and stuff like that, and maybe that
there you
helps.
go. Maybe that's it. Maybe
In
that's it.
stirrups.
So what happened was, I was complaining about how the pillows keep sliding down when you're trying to get them to look perfect for that photo and for the walkthroughs. And I had a client who said to me, she goes, I got something for you right on. She actually works in the PT world. She's a physical therapist. And she goes, here's something that'll work. And she gave it to me, and I'm going to find out what the name of it is so that I can get that to you, Kat.
Okay, so
But it's
come
this.
back. We'll post it
Okay.
on our YouTube channel, or on here,
Okay.
because yeah, I'd love to share that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a
Because
great tip.
it, it kind of looks like a neoprene type of thing, but it's real sticky without leaving behind an adhesive, and it won't
So
ruin
does
the
it come off
leather.
in a roll, or is it a big
The
ball?
piece that I have is like a big square, like maybe 15 by 15. And
Oh,
so then what you can do is you can take and cut strips out of it. And then you can put it underneath and put the pillow so that it grips. It'll grip onto the
wonderful.
leather and the pillow will stay. And it's not like you have to peel the sofa or the peel it off the sofa or the pillows off. It's just a gripper.
It won't
So
damage the sofa.
yeah,
I love
maybe I'll
that.
do a quick video and send it to you so you can see it.
Oh,
I'll
that
see
would
what I
be
can do for you.
awesome, and I'll
Okay.
I'll, I'll post it. Yeah, in
Okay.
fact, we can put it at the end of this when Jeff, my business partner and husband,
Okay.
does his thing. We can attach it too. So
Okay.
yeah,
I'll
that's a
look
great
into it
tip.
and I'll find out what the product actually is, but it's great. I love it.
That sounds
Yeah.
wonderful. That sounds wonderful. And um, folks out there, again, it's not going to ruin your sofa, but
Right.
we want that first impression, because your first showing is where?
Online.
Online.
Yep.
Online. So it needs to look fabulous.
Yes.
Um, so tell us, if you could, I don't know if you have a 3-step, a 4-step, share with our listeners who might be, looking to sell and living in their home. What
Mhm.
is your process in doing the occupied consultation service?
Great question. First of all, I partner up with some great agents who understand how important that the staging is in the process, because what we're doing is we're not there to make the house look pretty. It's about making the house look marketable. So one of the best things I can do is provide an initial consultation. My minimum consultation is 2 hours in length. Larger homes, I have to have additional time, of course, if we want to cover every room. But it's that process of the consultation is so that we can all three get together and talk about, in my perfect world, this is what I'd like to see. If there's anything you can't do, won't do, not sure you're going to do, let me know, because it's my job to come up with the workaround. But at the end of our time together, you as a seller are going to be very educated into not only what is expected in the current market, which changes constantly. As a stager, we got to stay on top of that, but also what can you do based on your budget to present as strong as possible from day one. So at the end of that consultation process, I have clients, some of them, they're total do-it-yourselfers, or they may not have a budget for any additional services. They'll finish up, take care of it themselves. Now, my preferred level is to do the consultation, then to have me come back for what I call a photo prep. So the photo prep is they've done whatever it is they're going to do. They've rearranged the furniture, they've pre-packed, they've brought in accessories, or if they haven't, I work with what they do or don't have.
Right.
I'll come in, and right before the photographer comes in, myself, or if there's a lot to be done, I'll bring in 1, 2, 3. I've had as many as 9 assistants come in, and we'll come in and do those final touches. And I like to do it right before the photographer comes in, because nothing drives me crazier than to see somebody left a pink bar of soap in the bathroom, and that's all you see in that photo. They put 15,000 into the bathroom, and you're looking at the pink soap. So that's the photo prep. Now, I mentioned earlier that staging enhancement. That photo prep session sometimes is a staging enhancement. If I have clients who have the budget and they would like the additional service, I can bring in those bridge items, those accessories, and we'll do the installation at the same time as the photo prep. And then it becomes less and less rare as people are utilizing the consultation, photo prep, and or staging enhancement. But I also have consultation and then full occupied staging. And that is where what I'll do is my team and I will come in and we'll oversee the entire project. And so that's with the pre-packing, that's with the, getting the movers in, that's doing everything from soup to nuts. So it just really depends. But my base model is that consultation, which really, I'm not the least expensive in town, but you're going to get every dollar of value out of that time together. And then the photo prep. But folks who have utilized my services through the years, I've had clients come back not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 times.
Sure.
To come back, even though they pretty much can tell you what I'm going to say. They know every house is different. So if you happen to be someone who's entering the market, really look at that, because you don't know what you don't know.
Nope.
And again,
and that, I think that's what's exciting to me. Every space is unique. That's what's really kind of exciting. In addition to that, because 90% of my business is referral as well. Realtors that use me over and over again. And some of them, they may know, 50, 70% of what to say because they've heard it enough. Sure. But coming from, a master stager is received differently. I've had realtors say, Kat, I told her to take that down, and she rolled her eyes at me.
It's true.
You told her, and she's like, oh yeah, let me do it. Yeah. So it's part of it is psychological, just depending again on the relationship, the seller, realtor, stager relationship, on how they receive things. So you can set yourself up to be the bad guy, and that's okay. It's received, because the bottom line is it's a win-win for everyone. The seller's going to get more money, the realtor's going to get more commission, and the stager's going to call out everything that will set up the seller for maximum dollars in as speedy as possible. So on that note, let's talk about, I don't know how the market is in North Carolina. It's, gone up and down here, but certainly I think all over the country, we've, with the pandemic, experienced, realtors who are like, oh, I don't need to stage, whether they're new. And then of course, so many are like getting on the bandwagon, getting their license. They have their license for a minute. They want to, get on that red wagon. And it's like, yeah, no, they're selling so quick, I don't need to stage. What would you say to a realtor who would say that?
So listen to what you just said. They said, the houses are selling so quickly, I don't need to use a stager. Guess what? I have home sellers who contact me without contacting an agent. And
Okay.
when I ask them about working with an agent, you know what they say to me? With the houses selling so quickly, what do I need an agent for? And so
Thank you.
what's been interesting is I will explain to them, I'll say, well, realtors, real estate agents are experts. And my definition of an expert is someone who knows the things you didn't know you needed to know. And so what the big deal is in this market, we have, multiple offers coming in. It's like, I just had a house, we listed it for 400,000 and they were pushing it, but they staged it and everything. So pushing it, it just closed for $560,000.
Right,
Okay.
and hopefully it'll appraise.
But it closed.
But did you hear? Yeah, but did you hear that, folks? So, how much more could you get if you staged your property? For someone who just puts a sign out, puts it in MLS, and prays, we call it the 3 Ps, and prays someone else sells it, is doing you a disservice. Yes, why do they need you? Because they're not doing the most strategic marketing tool that is in the industry, and that is staging.
Exactly.
Right?
And I have not one but 2 agents of the year who utilize staging within their business models. And they both utilize me slightly different, but they both really embrace that staging side. And one of the things too is everybody needs to realize this market, because I've been doing this 18 years, going into my 18th year, right? So there's the highs, the lows, etc.
Yep.
The agents who have been in business since 2004, it's because they know how to handle all these ups and downs. And one of the things that people remember in good times and bad times, how did that agent serve me? And how did that agent, what services did they provide? And they realized when things were easy, they still did more for me. So when things are tough, who do they go to and who do they recommend business to? And I will also let you know, I've got a lot of agents, their whole business is built on the branding of their marketing photos.
Sure.
And it's key to their business is to have them well staged.
Oh, absolutely. So if you're a realtor, obviously, and that's a whole nother show is on branding. In fact, I have an expert who is going to be joining me in the next couple of weeks
I'll
on
have to watch.
creating your brand. Yes. With home businesses and others, because our show is about all things home, which is such a great topic, isn't it?
It is. It is.
I need a sex expert, by the way, because that happens at home. If anyone has a sex expert who would like to be my guest, that would be a very juicy topic.
I know some people who think they should be the expert for your show, but I don't know if they really are.
Well, it's really funny. And I'm just going to say this sidebar because, this is Cat's Home Chat. We can chat about anything we want. Sure. I really thought people would be hammering on my door to be my guest, but I didn't realize how many people are in business but don't want to market their business.
That is so funny.
Joanne Lynette Weary, she's been on my show. If she's watching, hey, Joanne, she has said many times, she's been in the business 40 years, staging and decorating. And she says, if I would have known back then, it took me 10 years to figure out it's not about fluffing and karate chopping pillows. It's about marketing.
There you go.
Because, I'm going to date myself back in my early corporate American days. And we have a similar background. I don't have photography, but I have fashion. And of course, sales in corporate America, but I sold Yellow Page advertising. Okay.
Sure.
Many people watching this don't know what's a Yellow Page.
I know.
And we used to say, I'm dating myself. And we used to say, if you I don't have a budget to put a listing in. Yep. Well, if you don't advertise, you're like the person who winks in the dark. They know they did it, but nobody else does. And that's really about, marketing. I mean, you can be as good as you want and decorate beautiful, but if nobody knows about you,
it's true.
It's difficult to grow your business. But so branding. And I went off on a tangent. So what were we talking about before I went off on a tangent?
We were talking about agents and marketing and
yes. So back to, I wanted to kind of speak to the sellers. So for the sellers, this is good, feedback or ammunition for you when you are looking for a realtor.
Mhm.
Look and see how are they marketing. How
That's
are they
right.
marketing their properties? Look at their past properties. Are they
Mhm.
just sticking them, and taking cell phone pictures and not staging them? That may not be the best choice for you to maximize your equity. And folks say, oh, they're just selling and they're selling for over list. But you know what? Couldn't you get more? Right now is the time that you want to squeeze every dollar out of your
It's true.
precious
It's true.
equity, right?
It is true.
Um,
And we got a
so
big mix going on right now too. People coming from all over the country with different amounts of money from
yeah,
having sold in their market. So you don't know who's going to walk through the door and who doesn't mind offering an additional $100,000 if it hits them in the right spot.
absolutely. Staging creates emotion,
Hmm.
and proper staging, does create emotion, and buyers justify price with emotion. So
Hmm.
it's all about how do they feel? How are you making
Hmm.
them feel when you walk in? Starting from the exterior to the front door, to
It's
the
true.
porch to the front door. Those feelings are going to propel them to say and
Hmm.
feel that they want to call this their home.
You're right.
So
Yeah.
so important, isn't it? Isn't it amazing what we do? We really change lives.
It's true.
Yeah.
I heard it, I think, in one of your other podcasts, and you were talking about what it is we do. And I was thinking there's something I share with people all the time. And with my students, I will say to them, you know what? We oftentimes are creating people's retirement. How many
Yes.
people do you know they bought a house and they buy the next one, they buy the next one, raise their kids, they raise their kids, everybody's out. And then what do? They downsize. And what do they do with
Yep.
that downsize money? For many people, that is their retirement. So I take
Hmm.
it very, very seriously. I take it to heart
Yes.
to think I'm going to uncover every single dime of equity hidden throughout that house. That's my
Absolutely.
job. And to do it in
Yep.
such a way that people feel compelled to come in and see it, they feel compelled to make an offer.
Yep.
So that I really feel is like the ultimate calling is that. That's my
Absolutely.
headset.
Absolutely. And I've mentioned this on other shows. Is this was really kind of eye-opening to me back when I was selling new homes for a major builder here in Houston, and that was that. Wow, people are buying and selling through a myriad of really
Mm-hmm.
emotion-packed experiences. Some
Mm-hmm.
good, some bad.
Right.
Retirement, a birth,
Mm-hmm.
a death,
Mm-hmm.
um, a promotion, a
Yeah.
demotion.
Mm-hmm.
Really, life changing. You
Yes.
know, so it is a responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Coupled with your great realtor to really help them transition into the next step and journey of their life. Is
It's
really
true.
really important. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we got that awesome tip, and I'm really anxious to get that little video
Okay.
on the leather. What's a couple other tips? We're going to go with a couple of tips first, and then maybe we can dive into some behind the scenes of your
Okay.
8,000 consultations that you
Oh
might.
my Lord. Yeah,
Juicy
we'll
ones,
go.
juicy ones.
Okay. So, okay. First of all, now this is not a sexy one, but I'm telling you, this affects every house I've ever been in. And if you are entering the market with this issue, you're going to hit it right between the eyes. I don't care how great your house looks. And
Mm.
that has to do with smells, with odors. Okay.
Oh, close to
Right.
my heart, honey.
Now, I tell you what, we can't smell our own house. We really can't. And don't ask
No.
your best girlfriend because guess what? She's going to lie to you because she loves you.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
let somebody, you got to get somebody in there who's going to tell you the truth. But with the odors, what you want to do is you don't want to go like cookies. You don't want to go lemon. What I recommend is this: the best smell you can have when you enter on the market is no smell. And the reason for that is, at least here, like in the South, because we have so much humidity, we have mildew and mold issues, which leaves like a sweet smell. You walk in and people have plugins everywhere that have like the apple cinnamon or spring linen or whatever that's called. And the thing is, people walk in and it's like, what are they trying to cover up, right?
Yeah.
So the
Exactly.
best thing that you can do is whatever's causing the odor. And by the way, the anatomy of an odor is whatever you're smelling, it's little tiny particles of that floating in the air. But
Yep.
what happens is moisture comes in and that odor jumps onto that moisture molecule, goes up through the air and up to your nose. So that's what you're doing. Okay. So here's the deal. You need to kind of like deconstruct. You need to reduce the, in fact, out west, I know, because like back in Colorado, there could be a dead steer like 10 feet from us. And unless the wind's blowing right towards us, we won't even smell it. But let it rain, everybody within 20 miles is going to smell that guy, right? So it's like once you understand the anatomy of that, then you can attack it. You have to remove the source. Then you need to decrease the humidity, and then you need to neutralize whatever's there. So the mistake many people make in the market is they clean their carpets the day before they have the open house.
Yeah.
And most of the time when you do a wet, what does that do? That releases more moisture into the air. Even if they use a deodorizer in the carpet cleaning, it still smells musty. So what you want to do is give yourself some time before you put it on. So number one to me is odor. Okay. And then the second thing, again, and it's not sexy, it doesn't have anything to do with the staging, but we were talking earlier about the prep. Prep is so very important. So all those cleaning details, all of the small repairs, think about it. Yes, you may have just replaced the air conditioning unit, but you know what? If they go through and they grab the screen door to get on back porch and the handle's loose, or the screen is tore, or there's a cabinet knob is missing, those little things, they notice. They notice because they're hyper aware when they're walking through.
And not only do they notice, and I teach this in my classes in my CE classes to realtors is, start with the front door, because there's a subliminal, studies used to tell us that it takes 6 seconds to make a first impression. New studies say it takes about 3. So you're a realtor, you're there with your purse, you're trying to unlock the Supra. What are they doing? While you're fumbling and maybe the code's not working, they're looking on the porch. They're looking at the condition of the front door. They're looking, are the plants dead or alive? And they are making subliminal, subconscious assumptions.
That's right.
That this is how they are taking care of the rest of the house. And like you said, knob on the back, a screen torn, all of those things. So yeah, that is just so key, is to take care of those repairs. And, typically a good realtor is going to go in, most of the realtors I've worked with, they'll go in first and let them know, what they need to do. If they haven't, then we call it out. You need to power wash. You need to, clean the windows. You send them a checklist. I even send them a pre-showing checklist, because we don't sell our home every day, and especially if we're living in it, you want it to be show ready.
That is right. That's right.
You've got to turn the fireplace on if it's cold. If you're home, do the jacuzzi on. Have the lights on. Make it show ready. You're not going to think about that if you're not selling your home.
And here's another thing too. This is a big mistake people will make, especially if they happen to be like gone for the week when the houses are being shown. They'll put the air conditioning at like 75 because they want to save energy, right?
Yes.
And so they do the 75, people come in and it just feels not quite as comfy as they would hope. Here's a couple things you can do. Number one, drop it down to at least 72. But another thing you can do is turn on all of the fans, the room fans, the ceiling fans in every room, because that drops the temperature, ambiance onto the temperature onto the body by 2 to 3 degrees. So you want to do that, and that makes it feel cooler. Another thing on the flip side, if it's cold outside, don't have it set at 60 degrees, get it up at 64, 65 at least. You want it to be markedly warmer inside. That will have them stay inside. But, and then quickly paint, the right color paint is money in a can all day long. Do not repaint the same color that was there 12 years ago. Please don't. I mean, if you're going to spend the money to paint, or you're going to do it yourself, time, money, and effort, get someone in there who understands what's trending, and don't go with the it color. Like right now, I don't know about your market, Kat, but agreeable gray. If I hear that one more time, I'm going to shoot myself. Okay. Because it's not always right. So sometimes it's like the most beautiful color, but it's selected by the new home builders, predicated on the trim, the cabinets, the countertops.
Predicated on their finish. Bring in a color specialist if you need one. I'm triple color certified. I'm sure Bobbie has certification in color as well. Because it's really, you miss the mark. I see that with investors, Bobbie. I'm sure you do.
Oh, yes.
Like, agreeable gray, that's the color. and they've got Baltic something, granite, which has gold tones. It's a warm tone. Then you've got a cool, and agreeable gray. It does play a little on both, but it's still on the cool side, and it just looks like, you miss the mark. And
well, I see it.
They won't know what it is. They just feel like something's just not right.
And it pulls purple when you put it against oak cabinets.
Yep. And you got to know the undertones. I had a client recently, a color consult. Oh, well, I need you out, but we're just doing white. I go, do you know how many shades and undertones there are in white?
Yeah.
You might want to pay me to prevent some costly mistakes in paint and painter.
Well, here's a trick. This is something I do. I just did it the other day. There was a client and I said, okay, your trim is not white. She's like, oh, I want you to go to gray tones. I said, your trim is not white. She goes, yes, it is. I said, no, it's not. And I thought, don't argue. I just pick up a piece of paper.
Yep.
White paper. I went over and put it against the molding. All of a sudden it was yellow. And she says, I've never seen that. And I said, there you go. So understanding that white alone is a big thing.
You got to understand that. And another mistake that folks make is they will try to color match on the existing paint. You can't. Color doesn't exist in a vacuum. You need to take into consideration the light, what direction the house is, how does it play on the fixed elements. So, I have, and I'm sure you do, I have, a couple of go-to colors.
Me too.
When we are trying to make it light and bright, because that's what buyers want.
Sure.
But they have warm elements. And then, vice versa. But yeah, I agree. So many people just pull out, oh, that's the popular color. Let's do it.
That's right. And here's another thing too, I'm sure you deal with this, Kat, is that different parts of the globe have different color needs. And I know I do a podcast with the gal down in Australia. They have a totally different vibe happening there with the architecture, everything that they do is different. And it's like when we talk colors, and I was telling her some colors, she's like, Bobbie, that would never work here. And she was telling me her colors. I said, well, that would never work here. And I said, that's perfect. That means they work for us, right? Yes. So just understand. So if any home seller out there is going, oh, I'm just going to pick the color of the year and do it, don't do that. It may not be the right color for you. The right color of the year for you will create green for you if you do it right. So it could be a totally color that was 10 years ago, but for your house, it may be perfect. You need a color expert.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So important. So, you've been great tips, Bobbie. Thank you so much. I could just chat with you for like the next hour and a half. We're going to have you on again.
Thank you.
But, the senses, buyers buy with the senses. We haven't talked. I had my husband, who's a music expert. We talked about the emotions of music and how that plays on those subliminal first impressions. So we've talked about smell, near and dear to me. I gave a live tip, a couple of years ago. My builder used to call them smelly goodies. And great tip that I discovered to pull those out, pull the wick out, dump the noxious smelling stuff out, and put vanilla in it. You can get imitation at Sam's, and then plug those back in. Great, inexpensive, has that smell of cookies, if you'd like that. But we buy with all of our senses. The first thing, of course, is going to be sight. So did you have a stager come in and give you professional advice? So worth the money. If you're an agent, invest in the small investment to do that. Here's the upside to that. Your sellers will be on board. They will do everything that your professional stager advised them to do within their means. And so we've got smell, we've got sight, tasting. You're not going to leave cookies; those leave a mess. So we could do the vanilla, but we and touch and touch, and touch. So how can we integrate that into touch? Maybe
funny story.
Textures,
Well, funny story is there was this house. It looked fabulous, and the sellers were or the potential buyers were walking through the house, and the gal, she just kind of, absentmindedly drug her fingers across the beautiful granite countertop, the island, and she hit sticky.
Oh,
she hit sticky,
that's one of the big C's, and that's before anything. So it's clutter, clean, and color. and clean, 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 Q-tip clean. And if you don't have time to
Yes.
do it, hire somebody to do it.
That's
Because
right.
you're so right. People want no evidence of anyone living in the house. Well, you're living in the house. How are you going to do that? Well, your professional stager is going to give you some tips and tricks in how to make that less painful.
Well,
you know,
I call it sophisticated camping for money. That's the mindset I put into people. I say, think of this, because as I'm recommending the things they pre-pack and those type of things, because I never
right,
use the C word, clutter. I don't use that word. So I'm always
right,
like pre-packing their non-income producing items. But,
right.
I tell them, I say, think about it. So once you pre-pack those items, because in the end, what are we really selling? I mean, I know it's not glamorous, but we're selling square footage.
The
And so
space.
we want that impression to be that compared to the other houses they're looking at that are about 3,000 square feet, this one just feels so much more expansive. And one of the things you want to do is you want to edit down. So there's that, I just call it all that. When you have all that stuff, I call that visual noise. So to be able
Yes,
to do that is just like this relief. But if people can get into their mindset and think about it, if we do what's recommended within the time, as tight as possible from day one, that should lessen the days on market. Now, in this market, of course, but
yes,
even in a slow market, even during a buyer's markets, I've seen where other homes were on the market for 45, 60 days. Mine would sell in 2 weeks or less. And so
absolutely.
one of the things is get people to understand that.
Absolutely. And I tell you, I call it visual cacophony.
Oh,
And,
there you go.
and it's back to, I always start off with how we live in our home and how we market it to sell it is two different things.
True.
So it's not that you have clutter, it's that you have some beautiful things. Oh, look at this humble collection. Let's pack that up. You can even bring a couple of boxes. Let's get that packed up. We don't want anybody to break it.
That's right.
And you're going to get a jump start because your realtor's going to, coupled with marketing, with staging, is going to sell your home very quickly. So you can get them on board. And I think that's one of the things I hear from realtors the most is they're afraid to get them on board. They don't want to rattle, the cage, or they don't want to insult them. We don't need to insult them, just bring in a pro. And to get them on board, to get them on board with staging. So I know we're running a little over, but it's so worth it. And you know what, if you have this on YouTube, you can just, watch it when you have time.
Okay.
Great information, Bobbie. So let's leave with, I don't know, one or two quick stories, backstories, funny stories, what have you. Yeah, embarrassing. I don't know.
Let's see.
Behind the scenes. Behind the scenes.
I've got one. This was terrible. This was horrible.
Oh, goodness.
So I go in to do this consultation, and it's a beautiful home because here we have like a lot of like the tobacco plantations and things. So there's these old grand Southern homes, and they're full of history and they're gorgeous. So this particular gentleman, he was a bachelor, he owned the house. And when I came to the door, he only had one arm. Okay. So now here's the deal. Generally have the clients take notes as we're going through and I'm talking everything. And I said that to him and I said, would you like me to take notes? He goes, no. He goes, trust me, I got this down. He goes, just talk to me. I said, okay. So we go through the house and making recommendations. He's asking questions, etc. We go into this walnut encrusted, beautiful smoking room with a fireplace and the ceiling and the copper. It's like $1 million. It looks fabulous. And smack dab next to this big, beautiful fireplace is this big, like 58 or it looked like 20-foot big television. And so I said to him, I'm thinking, oh gosh, because that's where we usually get a lot of pushback, right? Is when we talk about let's take a TV out, bring a smaller in, whatever. Usually there's a lot of pushback on the TV. So I was getting ready for that. And I said to him, I said, so I told you I'd say in my perfect world. And I said, so what I'd like to do, the money in this room is that fireplace and those bookshelves. And I said, the lighting is like stupendous. I said, but what I'd like to do is actually, I'm recommending that you remove the TV. What do you think of that? I said, how do you feel about that? And he goes, oh, okay, that'll be fine. And I go, oh, that's great. I said, usually I have to arm wrestle people for that. Kat, did you hear what I said? I said, usually I have to arm wrestle people for that. He only had one arm. It was horrible.
But that's not worse than I thought, because I was imagining that his arm was laying on the coffee table.
Oh, no.
Prosthetic. Okay. Okay,
then,
so did you stop yourself or did he go like,
oh, I just kept going on. I just thought, be sweet but stupid, move on. He never said a word. We just moved on. So,
yeah,
gosh, but, and then another time I was actually going through a house. Now, this is kind of embarrassing. I was walking through the house, and the home seller had told her adult son, we're going to be at the house. You need to be out of your room and stuff so the stager can get in, blah, blah, blah.
yeah,
So the consultation. And so it's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and it was an estate, it's a huge house. And so she
right.
gets there and she's like, he is not up out of bed. And I go, well, we can come back. And she's like, nope, I told him we're coming in. So we go walking in, and he's got this big king size bed. And so he's like, up at the headboard, and he's against the pillows, and he's like, what, God, what are you doing, Ma? And she said, I told you we're going to be here. And I said, really, we can come back. And at the same time, the father came in. So the father's on the other side of the bed. I'm on this side. And the mom's yelling at him from the foot of the bed. It's a huge bedroom. So the mom turns around. She's talking about something. And, the covers are all messed up. And all of a sudden, remember, the son is up against the headboard. Down here at the foot of the bed, there's movement in the blankets.
Oh, Lord.
And so the dad and I, we both saw it. Our eyes met. And the kid he was like 22 or something, right? But he's like, and so I said, well, I think I've seen enough. Why don't we talk about this out in the hallway? But
No,
that was like,
oh
what
my
do you
goodness.
do?
Oh
Oh my
my
gosh.
goodness. You
Oh, I
never know
got
what you
stories.
find.
I
Hey,
got sea turtles.
I've got
got
two
snake
I've got
stories.
2 previews that I've got to go to, and my gal just pulled up
Okay,
in the
you
van.
got it.
So thank you. I don't mean to
You
cut
got
you off, but thank you,
That's
thank you,
okay.
thank you so much. And tune in next week. We are going to do a replay on, I think we're going to do a replay, right, honey? I would like to replay Barb from a year ago doing on being thankful during difficult times. I think that'd be a great one. And so watch it whenever you can. Thank you again, Bobbie. Just
You
a
bet, Kat.
plethora of information. You are such a jewel. We will have to have you back.
You got
And
it.
as always, stay or be hopeful, stay or be positive, and stay or be connected. And thank you for connecting with me and Bobbie today. Sorry, my puppies are barking because my gal's at the door. Have a great one. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving, everyone. And namaste. Be safe and have a great weekend.
Thanks, Kat.